Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to another Beyond Crystal Code with the one and only Carla from Ascension Organites. How you doing, Carla?
Hey, Coco. Hi, everyone. I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm sorry, y'all. It's my fault that we're late. We're 5 minutes late. It's my fault. I'll take the blame. I'll take the heat from all of y'all. It's all good. So don't forget, if you want to find the amazing work of Carla, just simply go at ascensionorganites.com. Everything is in the description box down below as well. And yes, you have this promo up and running right now. It's the Align Beginning Sales. If you want to talk about it a little bit, dear Carla.
Yeah, so every pyramid on the beginner at the beginner connect collection is 25% off. You need to use coupon code begin25 to get the discount, and it's good until March 7th. And those are the smaller pyramids that are easier for people that are just starting out or they just want to have specific energies to work with.
There you go. So just visit her website. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Beyond Mystic Rumble channel. And if you are a YouTube lover, we got you there too as well. It's the Jean-Claude Beyond Mystic 003. Now, I see this comment right here, and I'm going to address it right now, darling. Where is Janine and Jean-Claude? Darling, they are live right now filming the Beyond the News. So if you are a Insider Access Pass member, you could tune in and go watch their live. If not, on the replay at 5 p.m., around 5 p.m. Eastern time, it will be available as a pay-per-view. So you could purchase it directly on our website. So that's where is Janine and Jean-Claude. So I hope I answered to your question, darling. They are back. They're here.
Yeah.
Go and check them out. They're doing a live right now. So yeah, girlfriend, how was your week? Well, midweek or Wednesday.
Yeah, it's been good. Busy, but good. Can't complain. What about you?
What did I do? Did I do anything special this weekend?
Crazy energies.
This Mercury retrograde, I'm already done with it. When is this ending?
I think Astrid said March 20th. So everything coincides this time. It's right when the equinox and Aries season starts. So it's like we're getting everything all at once, all together. It's crazy, but
It's at the same time. I just can't anymore. I'm exhausted. Well, anyways, we're going to go through it. We're going to push through it because we are the Wu Gang. We gangsters up in here, spiritual gangsters. Okay. There we go. With our gang signs. I like our gang signs. I'm such a gangster. So we're going to hop into it. We did give you a little bit of our topic du jour last week. So we're going to dive right into it on this Wednesday. We are March the 4th. So we wanted to talk about shadow work. What place does it take into your life? It's, of course, well, shadow work is not being perfect. It's really working on yourself and on your experience and what has been programmed onto you towards like culturally, your family, the society. So we're going to dive into that. And this is not about this show with this topic. It's not about fixing yourself. It's more about becoming whole with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that well said?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So do you want to just jump into the background of shadow work? Where does it come from? What it is, like an introduction for the new people that have subscribed to Beyond Mystic?
Yeah, and even new people and even me. I'm so glad we're talking about this today because it's like I always say, I always hear about these concepts and then I never really understood exactly what it is. And I'm reading about what shadow work is and how to do it. It's so cool to find, like, I do it all the time. So, and I was telling you about a comment from last week's show that I was giving myself my own therapy session in the show. Okay. Yes, I absolutely 100% was, because I feel like we all need it and we're all going through this crazy time together. So But shadow work. So it's basically
The only, just sorry for cutting you, the only difference is that we put it out there. We put it in the front
exactly.
screen and we talk about our issues. So y'all could take our issues and say, hey, damn, I got the same issues as Carla and Coco. I need to work on myself. Honey, we put it all out there. We put it all out
That
there.
is like the ultimate version of shadow work because we're like expressing our shadow, you know? And we're like completely owning it and saying this is who we are and this is, you know. So what is shadow work? So it comes from the concept of the first person that mentioned what shadow work was Carl Jung, and he explained it as everybody has a shadow side. So the shadow side is basically the parts of ourselves that we like to avoid, that we don't want to face. You could be things, feelings, behaviors that you may be suppressing, maybe denying, maybe rejecting. So the shadow self usually develops in childhood. It has to do a lot with, like we were saying at the beginning, programs and things that we were taught as children, maybe comes from, you know, cultural or past lives. I think we also carry some of these stuffs as from past lives. So some example of the shadow self could be anger, fear, maybe need for validation. So it's all these negative. We talked about negative feelings last week and how to actually deal with them. But shadow work is basically the same thing. It's like facing these parts of ourselves that we don't like, that we want to avoid, and then acknowledging them and then changing for the future. Yeah, it's true. We ignore a lot of the obvious. Absolutely. So it doesn't mean that the shadow is bad. It doesn't mean that that's like, you know how I remember as a kid, they always portrayed it as like the angel and the devil. You remember in the cartoons? So it's not technically like that. But we do live, like I mentioned this last week, we do live in a duality. This world is a duality. So you're going to have the light and the shadow. You're going to have the good and the not so good, because I don't want to call it bad. So I think of shadow work as like, is the number one indicator for where you can grow. So if you haven't done any inner work at all, and you're just starting this and you're like, okay, I want to get started, I want to start on my spiritual journey, shadow work is one of the first things that I would say to do, because it's like the one that is going to give you the most growth out of all of them. And where do you start? You start with the things that you don't like about yourself, or the things that maybe make you uncomfortable, or certain behaviors that you know you do but you really don't know where they come from or why you do it. But once you start working on them, this is where you become empowered. This is where you grow, you become self-aware. So it's not about, like you were saying at the beginning, it's not about being better human beings. It's about being a whole human being and understanding that you have your shadow side, you have your light side, and they all work together. If you want to think about like examples of the shadow self showing, we all do this. It's like getting triggered very easily. So there'll be like a subject that is very sensitive for you and immediately causes an overreaction. So you could either burst into anger or tears or anything like that, or even triggers of anxiety. Then it comes as like overreacting too much to things. So yes, getting triggered, but overreacting to those triggers, or simply there's people also that instead of overreacting, they completely shut down and they don't even want to acknowledge what's happening. Also, parts of the shadow are playing into karmic loops, or playing into loops of behavior, playing into patterns. So, for example, always picking the wrong partner, even though you know it's the wrong partner, but you just find yourself in these situations and you're always picking the wrong partner for yourself. Or maybe, maybe it's a situation at work that you always find yourself in the same situation over and over, or circumstance over and over, that it's not good for you. Another example that I've seen a lot is people being overly judgmental of others or projecting. So a funny thing about projection or being judgmental is, I learned this a while ago. It's like, the parts of yourself that you don't like are the parts of yourself that are going to get triggered first. So, for example, if you meet somebody and you see them, a person that is overly confident and they're out there and they're loud and they enter the room and everybody lights up, and all of a sudden you become judgmental of them or you start criticizing them, that actually means, it might mean it's a projection of your own your inner self, that maybe you need more confidence and maybe you would like to have more confidence. So that's why that person, when it's right in front of you and it's a mirror to what you're missing, is triggering for you.
Very
So
true. Yeah.
yeah, that's a part of the shadow also. Well, we know what projection is. Projection is usually like you'll have an issue and you project it onto others, or you're blame people for the things that you do without even realizing it, because some of these things, they're so ingrained in us
Yeah.
from the moment like we're growing up and understanding how the world works and understanding social dynamics and things, that we do it without even realizing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of.
I have some great questions here. Well, you continue, and then I'll show the questions because they're like trickling in. Okay, this is bringing up light bulbs for everybody. I love it.
Yeah. So obviously it's a little bit, this subject's a little bit uncomfortable because you're like, well, most people avoid shadow work because it's difficult to face those parts of yourself and to say, you know what, I do that, or I do behave that way, or I can be toxic sometimes. And but there's no judgment because we all go through it, we all do it. I know, I mean, I admit I have gotten triggered very easily. I've overreacted. I've projected. I mean, we all do it. But the part of doing this is to understand why you're doing it, where it comes from, and then, making the effort to change it and to be different. So that's the whole point.
Let me bring this up. So Chris Cole 9506, but Carla, it's hard to admit it's you, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's something that I always talk about with like my friends and my family. It's so difficult to understand that you are not a victim of your circumstances, in the sense that everything that happens in your life, it's I'm gonna say, it sounds really bad, and this is why it's so triggering and so uncomfortable to say, because everything that happens in your life is your responsibility. And the only person that can, so let me go back. So with that in mind, if you are in a situation that you don't like, the only person that can do something about it, it's you.
So
No one else is going to come and save you from it. I mean, miracles happen, don't get me wrong, but most likely you will be the one that has to take the action to either get yourself out of that situation, fix it, change it, whatever the case may be. So it's hard to think about, because people are like, well, but it's not my fault that this happened to me. And how can you say that I'm responsible if this person hurt me or whatever. And to that I would say, yes, there are situations where I think I spoke about this in the Akashic Records show, is that the soul contract violations exist, that happens. But most of the time, with traumas and things that we have lived in our life, first, I believe we agree to them from the beginning. And also they're there. So before we incarnate, we agree to go to that because there's a lesson there. They have a purpose.
mm-hmm.
And so that when you think about it like that, it completely removes the victim label,
Mm-hmm.
the victim mentality, because no, you're absolutely in control of how you react to the things that happen. You can work on the things that you don't like, those behaviors that you carry from when you're a child. You can absolutely work on them. And that also applies to everything else in your life. And the reason why I say it's a little bit difficult. I've had difficulty with this because I don't know if this happens to you, but I I'm sometimes I'm really bad at giving advice because I'll have a friend come to me and give me like a story and tell me something that is happening, and immediately I can see the not the solution, but like
Mhm.
what to do next. You know, like, oh, maybe you should do this and maybe you should do that. But it's never my first instinct to say, oh, I'm so sorry, poor you. You know, I'm always like working on the solution, and some people don't like that. Some
No,
people just want you to listen and say,
you're talking about that because I always ask myself, because I have the same train of thought as you. And when people, my friends, family, whatever, share whatever issue they're going through, I go straight to solution mode, or like don't be a victim mode. And people, like you say, people don't like that. And so that's when I take like a step back and I wonder, okay, is it me that's just not empathetic? You know what I mean? I'm like, because I consider myself that I'm still always, always working on myself, always trying to see, okay, how can I open more my heart? And because I find that when I reached my 40s, that was the moment that I call the 40s the fuck off 40s. Like, you don't give a fuck anymore. Sorry for the bad language, but that's how I see it. So little things that may seem big, I I see the solution and I work towards the solution. So when I have my friends, family, whatever come to me and they come in the victim mode mentality, that's where I take a step back and I wonder to myself, like, am I empathetic enough? Because I'm like you. No, this is the solution. Take this path and you'll see you have nothing to lose. Do it.
right,
Try it.
right,
And then instead of staying home and crying and like, oh my gosh, it's so sad what X, Y, and Z happened. I'm like, yeah, but life is good. Like, yes,
yeah,
we do things. Like I always say, if your health is there, you're good because you'll have the strength to work through it. But if you're
exactly.
ill, it's more difficult. So if you're not ill, then let's go, let's do this. So that always takes me back and wonder, okay, am I
I
enough?
I can relate to you because that happens to me. Sometimes I can, um, I, I think of myself. I'm like, maybe I'm being too rough, too
Yeah.
tough.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe what they want is just, and I'm also learning that sometimes people, when they come to you to tell you something, they don't really, unless they ask for my advice.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they just want somebody to listen. So I'll listen and I'll be I'll be compassionate. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I can notice those. Sometimes you notice these once you start working on yourself and you start noticing your own patterns. It's easier to notice other people's patterns too, and you can see most people live with these narratives that they have on loop for their entire life. So maybe the narrative is something like small as saying, and it's hard for me to make money, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a narrative that they carry with them for the rest of their life. And because you worked on it, that can be changed. But I mean, and also hindsight 2020, it's easy for me to give advice to someone because I'm not involved and my feelings are not involved. Usually when it comes to my own things, I have a harder time kind of seeing it clear.
For sure.
But that's why shadow work is so important, because it goes back to your identity and your ego. And um, you really have to face the things that you have been doing. I wouldn't say wrong, but maybe the things that you have been doing for the wrong reasons. And it does require a level of very, very big self-awareness and self-reflection, that I think that's the hardest part to do, because that's the part where you have to say, ooh, maybe, I shouldn't be doing this, or why do I do this? And they don't want to, you don't want to face it. So, but once you understand, like you were saying, that we're all human, this is exactly what we're here to do. I think, especially now, this is exactly what we're called to do. We're called to do this work on ourselves and not just go through life thinking that we're like victims of the circumstance and we can't change anything and we can't do anything. Someone's like, oh, well, this is my personality and this is who I am. No, like there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
So, okay. So it doesn't have to be so difficult. It's actually a very simple process. And it's a very personal process, but there's also sometimes we can be blinded because it's our ego, it's our identity. It could be a little blinding to how to even start to do it. So it's perfectly okay if you want to ask for help. There's a lot of like healers and people that help you with that. I know, I'll give you guys an example. My husband had a reading with Alexandra for the records,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, in the records, in a very kind way, in the language that she explained, they called him out.
No.
But not in a bad way, just like these behaviors that maybe, hey, maybe be careful, maybe you're going into lack mentality, you don't want to do that, step away from that. So those modalities are there to lovingly and softly, subtly call you out. So you could absolutely do that if you feel like you have no idea where to start, and you just want to like work on yourself. You can ask for guidance and you can say, hey, where do I start? How do I do it? Ask your guides. Have a reading, even somebody that can, even the astrology, because Astrid also can see like in your chart where you have challenges and where you need to work on certain things. It's incredible. Like she could even tell, you know how she did in the show with JC and Janine, she did our couple synastry, I think it's called. She could even tell in the chart the exact challenges that sometimes we have, and I was like, that's crazy. It shows in the chart. So there's a lot of modalities that we can use, a lot of tools that we can use, but it doesn't really have to be so. It doesn't have to be difficult. It's very easy, and the way that you start is you ask yourself, you notice from yourself when you get triggered, why you got triggered. So that's the first thing you have to do is
Totally. That
notice the trigger.
Upset, sad, um, anxious, fear. Take a step back of that event that's happening to you and ask yourself, why do I feel like this? Just that is the beginning of you analyzing your shadow work.
Exactly.
I know it's like hard to do when you say that you're angry and you're right in it. Well, even if it takes you 2 hours or the next day to just sit back and like, wait, okay, why did I feel that way when I had such and such with my brother? And we had a discussion. Why did I feel so angry? Just ask yourself that. That's the beginning of your shadow work.
Right. Or it could be something else, like maybe you saw something, somebody was talking, you were watching a show, somebody called you and immediately you got triggered and there was a reaction from you and a feeling. That's the first thing that you need to notice is, okay, that triggered me. And then ask why. So then what you do is you have to try to learn to separate the feeling that you're feeling from the action. So sometimes it's not about acting in the moment, because when you overreact, what do you do when you overreact? You usually like start screaming or go full on anxiety and things like that. So that's the action that you want to avoid. So you want to understand that there's a feeling here. And that's what we talked about last week. It's like, okay, there's a feeling here. What is it? Why do I have it? Where is it showing in my body? Let me acknowledge it. Let me understand that I'm being triggered for X, Y, and Z. So now that I know that, let's think about why the trigger is there. Why do you think is being brought up in that moment? What kind of belief? What kind of program? So like, for example, we were saying, if somebody walks into the room and they're like complete light and they take over the entire room and you all of a sudden feel uncomfortable watching that person, maybe think about it and saying, okay, maybe I believe that I can't do that. So that's why it's triggering for me to watch that person. So these are that's why I say it's a very personal process, because this is like the dialogue you need to be having with yourself in your mind when you're going through these things. Or for example, things like, why did I react that way? Because, this person told me this, or, usually the triggers are always most likely than not, they are related to a belief, a program, a narrative. Like I was saying, we tend to create these stories for ourselves. And I know we do it all the time. Like maybe, one story that I heard growing up all the time was, like money abundance is a very triggering thing for people. And one of the stories and narratives that I heard growing up all the time is, in order to make money, you need to sacrifice yourself.
Yeah.
And you only make money when you work hard and your personal life suffers. So these are narratives, these are stories that just become part of programming, or struggling with like self-love, the narrative of saying I am not enough. And funny, I was listening to Shannon's healing session from yesterday, from Tuesday, and she was talking about the beginning of how to use consciousness to heal yourselves. And she was talking about that consciousness doesn't care about whether you're good or bad or if you're enough. Consciousness only knows you. I thought that was so beautiful that she said consciousness doesn't have anything else to reference. It's just you, because it's your own consciousness and only knows you. So it's funny to think that those stories, even when it comes to your own like physical healing, that you will say, well, that could never happen for me. I could never heal myself with consciousness, or maybe it will happen for someone else, but not for me because it's too difficult. Those are stories. Those are narratives, and they're not real. But once you accept these as part of yourself, then you can integrate them. And then moving, and the point of all of this, of all this process, is that you recognize it and you change your reaction moving forward, so that in the future, as soon as that trigger happens, instead of going immediately to an overreaction or a negative feeling, you just become aware and you observe it and you just let it pass. Or if you can help it because the feeling is too much, then you do like, exercises to kind of integrate that negative feeling back, like what we were saying last week. Like what I do is just kind of like check in with myself, see where I feel it in my body, acknowledge it, and immediately I feel like it goes away. So, but the most important thing is to obviously change the reaction to the future. And it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do.
Wait, let's jump into this comment, because I find that there's a really fine line. Is that the same? So we have here Lindy Q17 say, or why don't I like that person? I find that comment very interesting. That's for sure, that if you want to, like, you get triggered from that person and you take a step back to analyze and answer yourself that question, why I don't like that person. But isn't that as well a very fine line of, there's also people that you do cross and you feel their energy and they're can we say that in English?
Malintentioned?
Yeah, malintention. So it's really a fine line.
It is, but I think you can separate the two, because if you think about times when you walked into a room and it felt off, or a person felt off, your feelings weren't really involved there. Maybe you felt it and you felt it and you probably just walked away or avoided contact or avoided, but if you meet somebody and the energy is, let's say, neutral, and immediately you don't like them, maybe it's not because of their energy, maybe it's because of something that they're doing, a behavior why? Ask yourself why. So I think that's and obviously everything with balance, right? Because when you it's like, how can I explain this? Because a lot of the triggers for people are going to come, a lot of the triggers for yourself are going to come from other people as well. And it's usually your family members, people that you grew up with, because I believe that we come in a soul group on purpose. So you're born in that family for a reason, to work on a certain, and this is something my grandmother always tells me. It's like, this is why families are so complicated and we have so much conflict. There's like so much going on. It's because we are put here together to work on these things. And usually when you do like past lives readings, or even Akashic record readings, you'll see that maybe your father was someone else in your past life that was related, or maybe it was your brother, or maybe he was someone, because we're always coming together to work on ourselves. So what I'm saying is, sometimes people around you, like your family members, are going to trigger you, and it's okay to place a boundary, and it's okay to protect your own sanity and kind of not feed into the negativity, because they may be triggering you without them even knowing, because they're going into their own process and they're doing their own thing. So it's okay to accept the fact that they're triggering you and also place your boundary, but also be compassionate and understand that we're all here, but to do the same thing. But boundaries are huge because you always want to protect like your peace and all the work that you've been doing.
Another comment from Chris Cole 9506. I think a lot of people don't know that their actions activate their shadow side. Damn.
Very true. Yeah, very true. It's very, and their actions, their behaviors. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't I always heard of shadow work, and I always thought of this abstract thing, like this meditation.
Yeah, totally. Kundalini, shabak, the whole thing. And you're like, damn, like, when am I gonna reach that level? Totally.
Yeah. But I realized, like, when I was reading what it actually is, we do it all the time, and it's not something that you're gonna do once and that's it. Like, I feel like this is an ongoing process. So you know that expression, like it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep.
Like, it's like you choose to become self-aware of yourself, and like how you react to certain things and your triggers and all of that. And this is something that you're going to continuously do. It's not something that I just did it, I finished my shadow work. Like, no. It doesn't work like that.
Comment is because I have something to say after this. Lindy Q17. The pandemic brought out so many of our shadows. That is so true. And what I realized when I go back to that time here in Quebec, I don't know elsewhere in the world, you guys could share, and Carla as well. Here in the province of Quebec, people were drinking a lot of alcohol. It was bonkers. In social media, people were doing like TikTok memes, the funny video TikToks of like how the recycling bin were just filled with bottles of wine. And they would find that funny. And now when I think about it, I'm like, well, that means those people saw their shadow and they didn't want to face it, so they would hide it with alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Like when I'm thinking about it now.
Think about it, Coco. One thing that I was listening the other day. I don't know what it was. It was a video that I saw, and the guy was saying, like, how many times have you really just sat by yourself without a phone, without nothing, just you yourself with your thoughts? And I was reading the comments on the video because I do that often. I sit with myself and my thoughts with nothing to distract me often. You could call it a form of meditation, but I don't meditate in the regular way that people meditate, but that is a form of meditation, just sitting with your thoughts with no distraction and just watching them pass. And the comments of that video were like, I could never do that. That's horrible. Give me something to, like, I cannot be without my phone, or no way, I need to have music in the background, or I need to have something in the background. Like, I could never. And I was thinking, that's true. I mean, it's obviously difficult because it's hard to face your own thoughts, but and most people don't want to do it. They avoid it. So think about the pandemic. What did they do? They locked us down at home by ourselves for weeks. There's so much TV that you can watch, and so much content that you can, consume. After a while, it's like you're saying, and they probably turn to other things to not face their shadow. So it's a great point that you're making. Yeah.
Face it, totally, because you're stuck at home. What else is there to do? Because you put up the TV, like you say, there's so much Netflix you could be watching, but after that, it's the news, and it was nonstop all day, 24/7. Okay, get yourself vaccinated, get yourself the jab. You were on YouTube. Get this, get that, da, da, da. Okay, we're at this percentage, blah, blah, blah. It was, so of course, what you do, you numb yourself.
But I also think it worked backwards in the sense that they locked people inside their homes. People didn't have to go to work. They weren't distracted. And a lot of people, they were forced to kind of stop
and go down the rabbit hole, honey.
And everybody was like, wait a minute. What is going on here? Right.
Guilty. That's when it all happened for me. I went
Yeah.
down that rabbit hole, and honey, I had time. Had a lot of time to watch all of those videos, read all of those statements. I had a lot of time on my hands. That was a great, for me, the pandemic, I had fun. I had a great time. I was home in my jogging pants going through all of that. So I loved that moment. It was not everybody, but whatever. I had a great time personally.
No, but I understand what you're saying, because I think it was a huge catalyst into where we are now, because people had time to, they weren't in the hamster's wheel of going to work and home and kids and going to work again. So they were able to stop and kind of look around and being like, oh, okay, things are not the way they seem. And if you think about it, after COVID, that's when I found JC and Janine. So a lot of things happen. And it's funny when you listen to Astrid even talk about like the cycles. She was saying that something started in 2020, and right now we're seeing, like, she was saying something, I don't remember the transit, sorry Astrid. She was saying that this moment right now is kind of like universe is testing us on what we learned back then. And yeah, I think it absolutely was a catalyst for people. So it ended up backfiring what they were trying to do. So yeah.
Crazy. Before we hop into the crystal chat, I just wanted to share with everybody, and we're talking about shadow work. So this is the great time. We were talking about meditation. We'll jump into this summit activation with Elena and save 10% off with the promo code SUMMIT10. She will be live in DR, Dominican Republic, for this meditation. Sadly, I'm the one that's going to be backstage producing the show, so I cannot attend the meditation live. I'll be there, but backstage taking care of the camera. But this is the perfect timing for you. If you feel that urge of like, okay, let me just, where do I begin? We'll just start with this summit activation. Go visit the Beyond Mystic Academy, and everything is in the description box down below. She will be live in Dominican Republic with a beautiful view on top of the mountain. Listen, we're not all lucky like her.
She's doing that on March 18th, right?
Yeah, March 18th.
That's my birthday. I definitely have to do it.
Girl, what a good timing. I have to put that on my phone. It's CARLA.
And I think there's oh my God, I think there's a new moon that day too. And there's a bunch of things happen astrologically that day. So it's perfectly timed. It's like, yeah. Because I was listening to the March forecast, and I was like, oh, I paid attention because of my birthday.
Of course. Wait, let me check. Wednesday, March 18th. Yes, it's a
that's so cool. So that's the 2 weeks. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow, look at you paying attention. Ashton's going to be so happy. CARLA is on it. So, yes, do you want to talk about crystals?
Okay, so yeah, I was looking at what crystals can help you work on the shadow side. And I'm going to show you guys now. You can, if you want, you can, I do have a pyramid that I called shadow work specifically because it has one of the 2 crystals that I think are the most helpful when it comes to shadow work. So you can show it now, Coco, if you want.
Let me put it up here on a bigger screen. Whoops. Voila. Here we go.
So hopefully you guys can see. The first one, actually, let's start with this one. It's smoky quartz. So smoky quartz, we talked about this before in the protection, one of the first shows we ever did. But smoky quartz is deeply, deeply grounding, and it's good for processing emotions. So if you are in meditation or you're doing a healing session and you're working specifically with your shadow self, grab a piece of smoky quartz, have it next to you, maybe hold on to it. This is going to help you stay present in the moment while you're doing this heavy, heavy work. And it's not only that, but it's also going to keep you grounded and centered. And and the bonus, it's also great for like protection against negative energies or repelling against negative energies. Then I have also Labradorite that we talked about before. So Labradorite is in the context of shadow work. I like it because it aids in transformation and in change. So it's going to help you make that change and that transformation that you need to, like when we were talking about changing your future reaction. Labradorite is going to help you guide you to do that easier. It's almost like a softer landing. So navigating change and self-discovery, transformation. I also think of it, I always say, this is like my psychic power stone. So if you're also, as a bonus, if you want to like work into your psychic abilities, channeling, Labradorite is great. So the pyramid has both of those crystals. It has the smoky quartz and the Labradorite here at the bottom. So it's like all two in one. So this is great to, like I said, like hold it with you in meditation, have it with you while you're working with, if you're working with a healer, if you're working on it yourself. And then another one that I really like too is black obsidian. I wanted to get a bigger black obsidian to show you guys because it's very similar to shungite, but it's not the same. It's a little bit more shiny. I have these palm stones with the gratitude on it that Shannon was saying in a couple of weeks ago in her show, that it reminds her to have gratitude every time she looks at it. So black obsidian, it's about deep truth. It's about like uncovering what hidden emotions are there for you. So it's basically a stone to help with like bringing things to the surface so that you can work on it. So maybe if you are uncomfortable about facing some things, this is going to help to kind of, let's say, bring those things up without being hurtful or without you feeling overpowered. And if you notice a theme, they're all very dark in color.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because those dark stones that are, black stones, they're all towards, they're great for the shadow because they are like they all work in protecting and they all work with negativity. So shadow work is facing negativity, facing your own negativity. So that's why we use, and again, we always say these are tools. You can use them just to guide. They're not going to do the work for you. These are like, think of crystals and even the organites and things like that. It's like they help you direct the intention. So when you hold the crystal in your hand, you already have that intention in your head that this crystal is doing this particular thing for you. So it's easier for your consciousness and for your mind to understand what it is that you're doing instead of just like being like abstract up in the air. Like you have it in your hand and okay, this crystal is for protecting me, so it's going to protect me because it's your consciousness that powers it. So yeah, those are the crystals that we can work with, and the pyramid that that we can use for shadow work.
Available at your shop is the pyramid, the palm stone. You have the.
They're all available. So this one is the smoky quartz cluster. It's also available on the site. The pyramid, it's part of the beginner series, so it's on sale now until the end of the week. You also have the palm stones that are there, and the Labradorite is part of the healing crystal set. It's out of stock now because I'm working on restocking it, but it should be back in like maybe next week.
Okay.
So yeah, they're all available on the website.
Perfect. Great. Do you have anything else to add?
Well, when it comes to shadow work, then the reason why we do it and what happens after we do it, and it's like we were saying, this is completely ongoing process. It's because it helps you become more self-aware. It's going to help you regulate your emotions. So you're not going to be overly reactive all the time. It's going to help you become like that, what we always say, observe and not absorb. I'm trying to say it right because my accent. It helps you develop compassion for yourself, for other people, because you understand, once you go through it, you understand that we all have to go through it, and we all have this shadow that sometimes even acts without us knowing. It helps with cycle breaking, so not keep, not keep playing into the loops,
Yeah.
the karmic loops, and not always following and falling into the same behaviors all the time. But it's also, one big thing that I will end the show with is, start at your own pace. If you haven't done it before, start at your own pace. Give yourself a lot of grace. Go
Mhm.
slow. Don't do too much at once. Remember that when you do this type of work and you bring all those feelings up and you start facing all these things, it could be a little bit overwhelming. So you can, take time to rest in between, integrate it, let those feelings and let those, that work that you're doing sit for a while before you keep going, because you're not the reality is that you're not going to start doing facing your shadow, doing the shadow work and doing it all at once and like all in one sitting. It's not. This is something that takes a long time, something that we all practice and we all do. So be very, very, very graceful to yourself and remember to, to ground, to rest, and to take it easy and go at your own pace. So there's no wrong way of doing it.
I totally agree. You can't, don't don't be so, don't dismantle, you don't have to dismantle your psyche and think that this works out all in a weekend. It takes a lot of time. Like it took me a couple of years in my 40s. I saw a comment in the section, Coco, wait when you're 60, honey. I can't wait. But yeah, so the more you understand yourself, the less the world will control you.
Exactly.
So taking your time, it's all good. Don't be so hard on yourself. And like Carla says, like give yourself a lot of grace and you're going to be good. It's going to be an amazing adventure for you. So we are here at the end of our show. I'll just share the schedule because some people are confused with the schedule. So we are here tomorrow, Thursday, there's the Beyond Critical with Max at 1 p.m. And then the Quick Draw Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And the Viewers' Questions with Janine and Jean-Claude at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And the Beyond the News, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if your heart tells you to. Our YouTube channel, Jean-Claude Beyond Mystic 003, and our Rumble channel, which is Jean-Claude at Beyond Mystic. Don't forget to go check out the website of Carla, which is Ascension Organites. Everything is in the description box down below. And Carla and I will see you guys next week. Au revoir.
Bye. Thank you.